Hi class, Mrs. Calvi here. Quick review on how to calculate the mean, median, mode, and range. So make sure you are watching the video all the way through so you remember how to calculate each of these. So if you remember, calculating the mean means the same thing as calculating the average. So as you get into higher order math and into higher grades, you're going to just usually see the term average. You really won't see the term mean. So you just need to know that they mean the same thing. Okay, so I have my data set here. So calculating the mean, if you remember, you are adding all of the numbers and then dividing by how many numbers there are, okay? So finding the mean or average, add up all of your numbers in your data set, divide by how many numbers you have. So first thing I wanna do is I actually already looked to see that I had all of my numbers. So I'm gonna see how many I have in my data set. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have 11 numbers in my data set. So this is the part you can use your calculator for. You can add all of these up and divide by, in this case, 11. Now, I would suggest doing this at least 2 times just in case you accidentally input something into your calculator incorrectly. All right? So I actually already did this, and when I calculated this, my mean, when I added this up, okay, so when I added these, I got 161, and then I still have to divide that by 11. So 161 divided by 11 actually ends up giving me 14.6363, and that keeps on going. Now, the directions for this assignment are to round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So I am going to be rounding to the nearest tenth. Underline my tenths place, draw my arrow to the right. This 3 is telling me that this 6 stays a 6. If this were a 5 or higher, this 6 would go to a 7, okay? So in this case, my mean or my average, my final answer, would be 14.6. Okay, so calculating the mean or average, add up all of the numbers in your data set, divide by how many numbers you have. Remember, I suggest doing it 2 times in case you accidentally input something incorrectly into your calculator. All right, so now let's look at calculating the median. Okay, so calculating the median. So first step when calculating the median is to put your data set in order from least to greatest. Second step is to find the number that lands in the middle. Now, I said that there were 11 numbers. 11 is an odd number, so we know we're going to be left with just one number in the middle. If we have an even amount in our data set, there will be 2 numbers left in the middle. We have to then add those 2 together and divide by 2. Okay, so order from least to greatest. This is where we can easily make a mistake if we're not paying attention to what we're doing. So remember, I always check off once I've used my number. So it looks like my smallest number in this data set is a 5. So I'm going to put a check mark above the 5 so I know I've already used that. It looks like I have another 5, so I'm going to list that. It looks like my next smallest number is an 8. And then it looks like I have another 8. I have a third 8. Then it looks like my smallest number is 13, which is next. Then I have a 15. Then I have a 20 and a 21, a 26, and then it looks like I have a 32. Now, you remember in class, I always double check. I had 11 numbers in my original data set. I'm going to count that I actually still have 11 numbers, and this will tell me that I didn't miss anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have 11 numbers. Again, does not guarantee me I wrote them down correctly, but at least I have 11 numbers. So now I'm going to look to see which number is left in the middle. I know I'm going to have one number left because I have 11 numbers, right? So you know in class, this is how I always did this. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and the number that's left in the middle is 13. So my median for this data set is 13. So now let's just say that I actually had an even amount of numbers in this data set. So I'm going to just pretend that these were my two numbers that were left, that I had an extra number, and let's say I had 12 numbers in this data set. Now, in order to find the median, I would have to add these two together and divide by 2. In this case, my median would have been 14. This one's easy to look at because you know that what comes in between 13 and 15, 14 comes. But if you add 13 and 15 divided by 2, you would get 14 as your median. Okay. Next is finding the mode. Mode is pretty simple. For finding the mode, you are looking for the number that you see that appears most often. So this is where you're going to want to look at your numbers from least to greatest. When they're in order from least to greatest, it's easiest to see what your mode is. In this case, the number we see most often happens to be 8. We have 3 of those. So our mode would be 8. Now, let's just say we did not have any numbers that repeated. My mode would then be none. It's possible to not have a mode. It's possible to have more than one mode. Let's just say we had another 5 in here. I'm just going to make this up. But let's say I put another 5 in. So now we have 3 8s and 3 5s. My mode then would be 5 and 8. I would have 2 modes, and I would list what those modes are. So remember, if a number is not repeated at all, there is no mode, and it's possible to have more than one mode. All right, the last thing we are looking at is the range. So for the range, you are taking your largest number or your greatest number and subtracting your smallest number or your least number. So again, this is where using the order that's already in least to greatest comes in handy. So we're going to take our largest number, which is, in this case, 32. We are going to subtract the smallest number, which is 5. So we would take 32 minus 5, and that would give us 27 for our range. All right, so pretty simple. So really important, make sure when you put your numbers in order from least to greatest, you have all of your numbers, because that can totally change your answers if you don't have the correct numbers. All right, I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you soon.